Welcome back to the Bringing the Human Back to Human Resources podcast. I'm really excited for this episode, not only because it's another episode, and that's always something to celebrate, but actually because I have been following this guest, whether he knew it or not, for a long time. And I did tell him before this recording that I've been a LinkedIn follower for quite some time. So I have Joey Price with me, and to me, he's a household name in HR. I don't know, maybe it's just the fangirl in me. But if you don't know Joey Price, congratulations, you're here and you're listening now, so you get to learn more. And if you're like, who's Joey Price? Then step number one is to go to LinkedIn and follow him, because you're going to be totally razzle-dazzled. Anyway, Joey Price is with me this week. He is the CEO of Jumpstart HR, a TEDx speaker on AI in the workplace, and the author of the new book, The Power of HR: How to Make an Organizational Impact as a People Professional. He is also a SHRM Top 30 Under 30 alum. He was named one of the top 100 HR tech influencers of 2025. And if that's not enough, he also hosts his own podcast while we were working. And of course, naturally, Joey thrives in insightful real-world HR conversations, which is why he's here today. And we are going to talk a lot about AI and transforming what we do as HR professionals, but really transforming the landscape of work. So Joey, I'm thrilled that you are here. So thank you so much.
Traci, can we just join forces and be a super team, and you give my intro all the time? I shout out how awesome you are.
Immediate yes.
Thrilled to be here. I've been a fan of you and your show for quite some time too. And I really do believe that this will be a valuable conversation to show the value and necessity of humans in the workplace and humans and humanity in HR, even though we're going to talk about tech. So super thrilled to be invited onto your show, and excited to spend the next 3 hours chatting with you today.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, 3 hours. Everybody, hold on. There are going to be 6 parts. Thank you so much. And yeah, I'm really so thrilled. I was saying to my husband, I was like, I have an HR celebrity coming on the show. And he was like, what does that mean? I'm like, you just don't get it. No, so I'm super excited. And yes, I can do all of your intros. I'll come with all of the excitement and enthusiasm that you deserve.
You're the best.
And so one of the things that I'm so glad that we're going to talk about is the importance of humanity in the workplace. Naturally, it goes with the whole theme of my podcast, but it's also a major part of your brand and your beliefs. And so before we talk about technology and AI and all of the things that are really very important also when we think of the transformational landscape to work and the workplace, I'd love to give everyone, all of our listeners, a little bit of a taste of your own humanity. Like, how did you get into this framework? How did you become the CEO of Jumpstart HR? How did you become a TEDx speaker? Where does this passion come from?
I think I could trace the passion all the way back to my time as a child, being in sports, being a team player, my parents throwing me into volunteer opportunities where we had to help others. And somewhere along the way, the thread for me was just to be someone who always adds value in a room and looks out for opportunities to help others succeed. And so I thought in college, I was going to do that by having a degree in kinesiology, maybe being a sports medicine doctor, joining a pro team, helping them win trophies. But I realized somewhere around my junior year that I didn't want to tape up athletes for the rest of my life. And I could not stomach broken bones, contusions, all those crazy things. So I had to figure out really quickly, what's a profession in the corporate world that allows humans to be their best? And my sister-in-law, who's still in HR, she told me, she was like, hey, you should think about going into HR. And I was like, okay, cool. What's that? And it started off the journey for me of falling in love with this field where no day is the same, but every day I get to make someone at least 1% better, whether that's through direct conversations or through policies and strategies and frameworks that we create and implement. And my journey of being an HR professional led myself to starting the company in 2011. And I said, if it doesn't work out, I can go back and get a job. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's been 15 years now, helping small businesses and startups with their HR, but more recently, helping HR technology firms navigate the buying experience with the voice of HR practitioners being at the forefront. And it's still something I get excited to wake up and do every single day. That's what brought me on my journey. And that's what brings me here, is just wanting to really see people thrive.
That's so amazing. And something that really sticks out to me is what you said around creating your company, and that you're like, you know what? I'm going to throw everything at this. And if it doesn't work out, I always have a plan B. And I really admire that, because I think it's easy to say. And I'm sure it's easy for you to say now that you've had success in building your company. But that is so difficult to do. And I really commend you for taking that step and saying, you know what? I believe in myself. I know what I offer. I know what I can do, and I'm going to do it, because I think that is tremendously challenging and scary. And you're a parent, so you're like, how am I going to feed my kids? Like, is this going
Yeah.
to work out? And I think that's so awesome. So kudos to you. And I think it's probably a huge reason why all of these other major corporations like TEDx and SHRM have seen the value that you bring to these conversations, which does bring me to what we're going to talk about within AI. And first and foremost, we'll be talking about agentic AI, which is, of course, it is AI, but some people might not totally understand what agentic AI really is talking about. So my understanding and interpretation is that it's ultimately an autonomous or semi-autonomous system. Is that fair to say? Do you have a definition that you like to run with?
Yeah. When I talk about technology, I'll talk as if I'm talking to my 7-year-old. And it's not because I'm trying to
Love
dumb
that.
things down, but it's because I know, weirdly enough, she listens to my podcast. So when I talk about it, I want to make sure she understands it too. But when we think about artificial intelligence, historically, that was, you program a robot or a script or technology to do one specific thing. And then it got more complex, where it can do a series of things. You've all seen maybe the robots dancing, or the Jeff Bezos walking his robot dog, right? These are all fascinating ways to program technology, but it was really like a 1-lane highway. It's like, you want this thing to do one certain task with precision over and over again. Now the game has completely changed with agentic AI. And that is where it allows you to program a tool that can own tasks, it can own decisions, it can think critically and reason, and then it can produce output, which as humans, we always need to oversee and make judgment calls on. But if you've been head buried in a sand for the last 2 years or so, that's been the latest change. And it's showing up in the tools that we use every day, both personally through our Siri, or I don't have an Android phone, but Android, I'm sure, has agentic AI, through the tools we use at work, whether that's Microsoft Copilot or Google Gemini. And then some of the tools that we use on our own, like Claude or ChatGPT. And just really shortly, agentic AI is a tool that exists that you can tell it something or get it started on something, and then it will reason, it will execute, and it'll come back with, hey, here's what I've done, and here are the decision steps that I made to accomplish what you asked me to do.
Love that. And I think that's fabulous to explain that, you take the opportunity to explain it to your daughter, because there's like a really like a human element when we think about breaking things down in a way that our children can understand, because it forces us as humans to really think about, okay, what is this thing
Yeah.
actually? What is this tool? What is, like, my 2.5-year-old, one of my twins, was like, what is that toothbrush doing in the cup? Like, why is there, because my mom stayed over and she put her toothbrush in the cup that she used to rinse her mouth, right? And for me, I'm like, oh, that's grandma's toothbrush.
Yep.
And she's like, why is it there? And I'm like, oh, she's asking why her toothbrush is different. Oh, so many things are happening in that question. Why is my toothbrush different from my grandma's toothbrush? Why is that toothbrush bigger than mine? Why is there a cup there? What is the cup doing? I don't
Yeah.
use a cup. And it's like, grown-ups use different toothpaste than kids. Grandma doesn't keep her toothbrush here. She brings it back and forth, so she keeps it
Yeah.
clean. It's like all of these things. And so when I think about you explaining AI to a 7-year-old, like, there is a way for us to then think about, okay, what is artificial intelligence? What does this actually do for us? And so one of the things that you shared with me is that you've built out these frameworks to think about technology with HR professionals, and specifically the two frameworks when it comes to really employing these types of technologies. So I'd love to pause and see from your perspective how you developed these frameworks as a method for us to think about either purchasing technology to improve our experiences or the experiences for our employees, or really just in general the allowing us the opportunity to work with technology in our day to day.
Yeah. Yeah. Understanding why these frameworks exist is super important. And it really does center around humanity and the human resources seat. If we think about the way that technology is transforming all around us, I often encourage my HR leaders when we're in behind closed doors conversations at conferences or just meeting in chats like this. And if you aren't at the table for digital transformation, then you're on the menu. And what that means is if you don't have a mastery or an understanding of how technology works, how your CEOs want it to be deployed in your organizations, the board level expectations of reevaluating the workforce and using technology as a means to do so, then you're really missing out on an opportunity to preserve that human leadership from the HRC. And so through the years of running the business and recently acquiring this HR technology firm that is now Jumpstart HR Research, the data shows in our recent Insights at Work report that 40% of HR leaders don't have an AI strategy. And that is surprising, alarming, upsetting, because you can't go a news broadcast, you can't watch YouTube and get commercials without seeing AI. And so this is an attempt to help HR leaders understand, hey, when you are now buying technology, what are the 5 and 6 most important things for you to pay attention to in the buying process so that you not only buy just from the sake of, hey, I've worked with this brand before at my old job, I know the tool in and out. That's not true anymore. The tools have changed, and the way that they're changing is through adding agentic AI. So helping to understand your business problem, your requirements, getting internal alignment, navigating the decision criteria and making sure that you have ranked priorities, making sure that your vendor review is guided and not just ad hoc, and then actually having a plan for how are you going to execute the technology that you're buying. Not only technology that you're buying, but the technology that you are being given when you are in a multi-year contract, but maybe they're introducing agents and you've got to figure out, okay, cool, what does this mean? So that's framework 1, which is it's the bridge. It's how HR teams buy technology in this day and age. And it's to help increase that needle, that 40% that don't have a plan. And then our second framework is called the 5 workforces. I'm a big fan of Patrick Lencioni, who talks about the ideal team player and the 5 dysfunctions of a team. And so I said, what are the different types of workforces that exist? Because not everyone looks at AI the same. Not everyone has the same AI strategy or the same AI desire. And so it's not enough to think about this technology transformation to say everyone needs to be fully autonomous right now. If you're not, you're behind the curve. I like to take a more holistic view and understand that not every business is meant to be fully automated. I mean, if you are a HR leader for a main street car dealership with multiple branches, you're not expecting your customers to walk in and try to buy a car or navigate cars on a kiosk. Maybe if you are a HR leader for a large restaurant, fast food chain, you may be introducing those kiosks and have a greater use of autonomy or agentic AI where your customer actually interacts. And so there are 5 different types of workforces. And the whole goal is to take the assessment, figure out where your organization is, and decide, hey, I like where we are. Let's be the best version of it. Or I don't like where we are, and maybe we need to mature a bit. What's that next step? And so the focus of our research moving forward is all about that. It's helping HR leaders lead the charge and lead the team that you are supporting through this transformation that we're in. And you can learn more about it on our website for sure.
That's amazing. When I was looking at the frameworks that you've just described, I was really interested by these archetypes that you talk about, the 5 different types of businesses ultimately. And something that really interested me in this whole kind of concept is that the fully autonomous archetype, or the autonomous, it makes me think of a question actually to ask you, which is, in that type of business, where does humanity tend to live? Is it in the person that is orchestrating all of the autonomy and supporting all of these different types of technology? Is it more or less something like that? But I think about that because naturally, a question I know for sure that it has come up for you in terms of maybe even some of your listeners asking this, which is, am I going to lose my job to AI? Is there a world where I can work side by side with technology? Of course, my answer is yeah, that's why you need to learn it. Hello, don't be on the menu, write the menu, right? Going back to your point, but what are your thoughts on that, on the autonomous?
Yeah. So for groups that are autonomous, I look at that as being on the two ends of the spectrum. So one, you might think of the founder who wants to run a CPA, a one person CPA shop or a one person design firm. And the way that they're doing it is maybe they interact one to one with the customer, but they deploy agents to do the work. So in that regard, you can see more and more entrepreneurs start up, or more and more people with side hustles or gigs say, I want to have an agent who does my outreach, an agent who can support my finance and reconciling my bank statements, all the stuff we love to do as business owners, right? So I look at it on that end as honestly creating more entrepreneurs in the world who can say, if I can lead a team of humans, I can lead a team of robots.
Love that.
But then fast or flip to the other side of it, there aren't going to be so many enterprises that are fully autonomous, because you're looking more at the manufacturing industries where you're seeing groups like Tesla introduce fully robotic warehouse and fulfillment processes. Amazon would probably be somewhere between a 4 and a 5 as far as the archetypes. And that's why I keep going back to the message of, it's not a maturity model. It's more about understanding who we want to be in the grand scheme of all the spectrums. Because honestly, I think the sweet spot for most employers out there is going to be 3 and 4. And that 3 is going to be where you have agents and everyone can delegate. Picture putting on the Iron Man suit and being able to independently delegate to agents so that you're able to accomplish your job better. And then 4 is orchestrated, where agents are on the team. That's where you get the agents as employees. And that's where it's people and agents working together, and where you'll see agents introduced on an org chart. That's my thoughts on it, and how to take a look at the framework, where 5 isn't going to be the end goal for all forms, or for all firms rather. But it is important to know that there are going to be companies out there who are large, but also a whole host of solo entrepreneurs or co-founders who say, let's maybe build this thing agents first. And then when we scale humanity, it will be more for customer interaction or attending trade shows or those sorts of things.
That's so cool. I really am super grateful that you're sharing these concepts with us, because naturally it's a big part of the research that you and your company have done. And it's it feels like we're getting kind of a window into the hard work that you all have done that not everyone gets full exposure to all the time, because naturally you're supporting businesses and in a lot of these strategies and moments of making decisions. And something that I think about too when you talk about humans and agents working side by side is that we have seen through so many types of key moments in time where there's been transformation in technology or the workplace that people adapt and technology adapts. And I think it would be really interesting to look back on our conversation in 2 years from now, 5 years from now. Obviously, we see AI transforms things in rapid speed. I say 2 years, but really it's probably 2 months. But it's like, I can't wait to look back on this and say, oh, yeah, we see agents now in these autonomous businesses, or we see the businesses that are maybe in the one or two archetypes where maybe their approach to agentic AI is that they're starting to figure out how they provide it to their customers, and it's not necessarily something they've employed yet internally. But either way, I think it's really cool, and it feels like we're on this precipice of another almost like industrial revolution, but it's like the AI revolution, right? And I do think that it puts like a lot of pressure on us as humans to be the best version of ourselves within our roles. And if you're not in the right job at the right place at the right time, AI is going to figure that out for you. Get good at what you do, figure out what it is that you're passionate about so that you can contribute in the way that businesses are going to expect. Because naturally with AI, this is where that conversation of, is AI going to replace me? I don't really believe in that. I believe that when we embrace technology, we are part of the solution. And naturally, this is where you and I tend to come together for sure. And so I look forward to your research really being implemented in people's strategies and coming back to this 40%. Don't be part of that 40%. Be part of the 60%. Have a strategy. Otherwise, yeah, it's going to be like the Sears, the Blockbuster, whatever effect we want to bring up, where they didn't get on the bandwagon. They didn't figure out technology fast enough, and technology sorted them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just super quick, when we think about the transformation that's happening, my charge to the audience would be, organizations need human-centered people to be the ones guiding the conversation around technology. They need us in the room. And so if I help do that at all today and help equip you with the language, with the vision for where business is going, hold on to your humanity and bring that as a light that shows up in these rooms, because some of us may work in organizations where we're the only ones thinking that way. And it's such an important perspective to have.
I totally agree. Joey, thank you so much for your time. This was like such a dream for me. I really mean it. And I so appreciate you sharing these really well thought out and researched concepts. I super appreciate it. And where can everyone learn more about you? Like I said at the beginning, follow Joey on LinkedIn, start there, but certainly where else can people find your book and like all of these additional talking points that you share?
Yeah, Traci, I appreciate you so much. A good place to find me is on LinkedIn, just Joey Price. You'll see me. I'm wearing a suit, which is
Love
rare.
that.
But
Totally.
But also our website, jumpstart-hr.com. And if you're interested in the research and the frameworks, we actually give away our research to practitioners. We just request an email so that you can follow along for future research updates and make your thoughts known on what you want to see as research. And that's jumpstart-hr.com/research.
Amazing.
Find the book there as well.
Amazing. And we'll have everything linked, of course. I really appreciate it, Joey. Thank you so much. And really, again, kudos to you and all of the hard work that you're doing for some seriously important topics.
Thank you, Traci. Appreciate you as well.
Hey, just before you go, don't forget to subscribe to this show so that you are the first to hear when an episode drops each week. And maybe leave a 5-star review and a comment about how much you loved this episode. Plus, if you have someone in mind who would really enjoy this episode, make sure you share it with them. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next week.